Imagine spending 6 years of your life fighting for a dream. You spend your life savings, you work 60-hour weeks, you hold your wife while she cries herself to sleep because she can't get pregnant. You think you are fighting a battle against nature together. But what if I told you there was no battle? What if the tears were fake? What if the infertility was a lie? Today's story comes from r/TrueOffMyChest, and it is honestly one of the most disturbing cases of betrayal I have ever read. A husband climbs into his attic to find an old baseball card collection, and instead he finds a black trash bag that unravels a double life so dark it destroyed 2 families. If you think you know your partner, this story might make you think twice. Buckle up. You are not ready for the twist in this one.
It has been 4 days since my first post, and honestly, it feels like 4 years. I'm still at the motel. I haven't stepped foot in my house except to get my suit for meetings with my lawyer. Speaking of lawyers, I hired a shark. Her name is Mrs. Gable, and when I told her the story, she actually stopped taking notes and just stared at me. She said in her 25 years of family law, she has never seen a case of paternity fraud combined with medical fraud, quite like this. Yes, medical fraud. I went back to the house on Tuesday when I knew Sarah wouldn't be there. I needed to find the medical records. I tore her home office apart. I found her real medical file hidden in a box of old tax returns. It turns out the IVF clinic had flagged her hormone levels as suspiciously consistent with contraceptive use 2 years ago. They had noted it in her file and asked her about it. She apparently told them she was taking medication for cysts that mimicked those levels. She lied to the doctors, and she lied to me. While I was at the house, Sarah came home early. I didn't run. I was done running. I was sitting at the kitchen table with the file in front of me. She looked terrible, eyes swollen, hair messy, but I felt nothing. The love I had for her has turned into something cold and hard. She started crying immediately, launching into a rehearsed speech about how she didn't want to hurt me. I didn't want to hurt you? I asked her calmly. You let me inject you with hormones. You let me cry over negative tests. You let me work 60-hour weeks to pay for a baby you knew would never come because you were on the pill. You didn't just hurt me, Sarah. You tortured me. Then she dropped the bomb that made me see red. She said, Mark isn't doing well financially. He couldn't support our son alone. I needed the IVF money to make sure my baby had a good life. I figured if the IVF failed, we'd just adopt and I could bring my son into our lives slowly as a foster situation. She was planning to adopt her own child using my money under the guise of fostering, just to move him and Mark into my life on my dime. I kicked her out. I told her to go live with Mark. She refused to leave, claiming it was her house too. So I played my ace card. I called her parents. Sarah's parents are deeply religious, conservative people. They treat me like a son. They had no idea about the child. They thought Sarah was the victim of unexplained infertility just like I did. I put the phone on speaker. I told her dad, Frank, your daughter has something to tell you, or I can tell you. And if I tell you, I'm sending the photos. Sarah lunged for the phone, but I held her back. She was screaming, No, don't! It will kill them! I told them everything. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Then her mother started screaming. Not crying, screaming. Her parents drove over within 20 minutes. I have never seen a father look at his daughter with that much disgust. Sarah tried to play the victim, claiming Mark manipulated her, which might be partially true, but she is a grown woman. Her father didn't buy it. He asked to see the bank statements. He saw the withdrawals. He looked at me, tears in his eyes, and said, I am so sorry. I raised a monster. They took her away. They literally packed a bag for her and dragged her out of the house. I changed the locks an hour later. Now the legal war begins. My lawyer says we are suing for the return of the $40,000 IVF costs, plus damages for emotional distress, and she is building a case to prove dissipation of marital assets regarding the money she funneled to Mark. This means she might get nothing from the house equity. I should feel vindicated, but I just feel empty. I saw a toy truck in the garage that I bought for my future son 3 years ago. I realized while I was buying that truck dreaming of a child, she was buying trucks for a child she was hiding from me. I will update when the divorce papers are served.
It's been 3 weeks. The initial shock has worn off, and now it's just pure, unadulterated rage. Sarah has been served with divorce papers. She is currently staying in her parents' basement. Yes, really. Her parents have cut her off financially, basically telling her that if she wants to support a secret family, she can do it on her own. This brings me to Mark. I had never actually spoken to Mark. I only saw him in the parking lot that day. But last Thursday, I got a knock on my door. It was him. The sheer audacity of this man. He stood on my porch, looking disheveled, and asked if we could talk man to man. I should have slammed the door. Instead, I stepped out, closed the door behind me, and crossed my arms. "You have 2 minutes before I call the cops for trespassing," I said. Mark started this rambling speech about how he didn't know Sarah was married at first, lie, and then when he found out, she told him I was abusive and that she was trapped, lie. He claimed he only took the money because he thought it was alimony she was hiding. Then he got to the point. "Look, man," he said, "Sarah's cut off. I can't pay rent. The kid, Leo, needs stuff. Since you were essentially playing daddy with your wallet for 4 years, I figured maybe we could come to an arrangement. If you don't sue for the IVF money back, I'll get Sarah to sign the divorce papers quickly." He was trying to blackmail me, using his own son as leverage. I laughed. I actually laughed in his face. "Mark," I said, "you don't understand. I'm not just suing her. My lawyer is looking into you, too. Knowingly receiving stolen marital funds? That's a crime. Conspiracy to commit fraud? That's a crime. I'm not giving you a dime. I'm going to make sure you both work the rest of your lives paying me back." He turned pale. He mumbled something about me being a heartless rich prick and stormed off to his rusted Honda Civic. I called my lawyer immediately. She was thrilled. "He admitted to knowing about the funds?" she asked. "Did you record it?" "I have a Ring doorbell. It recorded everything, audio and video." "My lawyer says this is the nail in the coffin. We can prove a conspiracy now." On the Sarah front, she has gone off the deep end. She's been blowing up my phone. I have her blocked, but she uses fake numbers, leaving voicemails ranging from sheer hate to begging. In one voicemail, she blamed me for her cheating. She said, "You were so obsessed with having a perfect family, you put too much pressure on me. I needed an escape. Mark was my escape, and then I got pregnant and I was scared you'd leave me." The mental gymnastics are insane. She's trying to rewrite history to make herself the victim. But the worst part happened yesterday. I was at the grocery store, the one we shopped at for years. I ran into one of her friends, Jessica. Jessica didn't know the truth yet. Sarah had told her friends that I cheated and kicked her out. Jessica walked up to me and slapped me, right there in the produce section. "How dare you abandon her when she's struggling with infertility?" she screamed. I was so stunned I didn't react physically. I just looked at her and said, loud enough for people to hear, "Jessica, Sarah isn't infertile. She has a 3-year-old son with her ex-boyfriend, Mark, that she's been hiding for 4 years while spending my money on fake IVF treatments. Ask her about Leo." Jessica's face went from red to white in 3 seconds. Everyone was staring. I left her standing there with her mouth open. I later heard from a mutual friend that Jessica went to Sarah's parents' house and saw the kid. Sarah has now lost her entire friend group. I'm currently packing up the house. I put it on the market yesterday. I can't live here anymore. Too many memories of a future that never existed. I found a box of baby clothes I bought 2 years ago. I donated them to a shelter today. It hurt, but it felt like closing a chapter. Next week is the first court mediation. I'm not settling. It has been 6 months since I found that car seat in the attic. I promised you guys a final update, so here it is. The divorce was finalized last Monday. It was a bloodbath in court, but thanks to the evidence, the receipts, the medical records, the Ring doorbell footage of Mark, the judge had zero sympathy for Sarah. Here is the breakdown of the judgment. The house. The judge ruled that because Sarah used marital funds to support an affair partner and a secret child, she forfeited her share of the equity equal to what she stole. Since she stole nearly $45,000 plus the $40,000 wasted on IVF fraud, her half of the house equity was almost entirely wiped out. I got 90% of the proceeds from the house sale. Alimony. Denied, obviously. The IVF debt. The judge ordered her to repay the IVF costs. Since she has no money, her wages are being garnished for the foreseeable future. Sarah was in the courtroom. She looked like a ghost of the woman I married. She's gained weight, she looks tired, and she wouldn't look me in the eye. Mark wasn't there. Apparently, trouble in paradise started as soon as the money tap ran dry. Once Sarah was kicked out and moved into a cheap apartment with Mark, reality hit. Mark is lazy. He doesn't want to be a dad. He wants a sugar mama. When Sarah couldn't provide that anymore, he bailed. According to her dad, who I still talk to occasionally, Mark left her 2 months ago. He took his car and left her with the kid and the debt. Sarah is now working 2 jobs, one at a diner and one at a call center, just to make rent and pay for childcare for Leo. She lives in a studio apartment. After the court hearing, she tried to approach me in the parking lot. It was the first time we'd been face-to-face without lawyers in months. She said, "I miss you, not the money. I miss us. I made a mistake." I looked at her and felt pity. Just pity. I said, "You didn't make a mistake, Sarah. You made 1,000 choices. You chose to lie every morning. You chose to take the pill. You chose to steal. You chose Mark. Now you have to live with those choices." I got in my car and drove away. I didn't look back. Where am I now? I sold the big house. I bought a smaller, modern condo in the city, something sleek and bachelor style. No attic, no garage full of old memories. I've started therapy. It's helping. I realized that my obsession with having a child was partly because I wanted to fix us, not just because I wanted to be a father. I still want kids one day, but not right now. I've also started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee dates. I'm honest with them. I tell them I'm recovering from a massive betrayal. Surprisingly, a lot of women appreciate the honesty. Last weekend, I went hiking. When I reached the summit, I looked out over the view and realized something. For the last 6 years, I was living under a cloud of depression, thinking I was failing my wife because I couldn't give her a child. I was carrying the weight of the world. That weight is gone. I am free. I have money in the bank, a career I'm good at, and my dignity. Sarah has her son, her debt, and her loneliness. I think justice was served. Thank you to everyone on Reddit who supported me. You guys kept me sane when I thought I was losing my mind. What a ride! From a car seat in the attic to a total courtroom victory. It's tragic that there is an innocent child involved in this mess, but honestly, OP did the only thing he could do. I want to know what you think. If Mark had come to your door asking for money, would you have stayed calm like OP, or would things have gotten physical? And do you think Sarah deserved to lose everything, or was the judge too harsh? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And subscribe if you want more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.